Hi, my name is Cait and I teach for Tula. Today I will be guiding you through a Vinyasa flow, focusing a bit on the core. I will be verbally guiding you through it, and I will be demoing it as well. So if you ever get lost, you can feel free to look at me and join where you can. As a reminder, you can take breaks, you can skip. If anything up here doesn't feel good for you, that's totally okay. Okay. Hi, my name is Cait and I teach for Tula. Today I will be guiding you through a Vinyasa flow, focusing a little bit on the core. I will be verbally cueing everything, but if you get lost or you don't understand me, feel free to take a look at me. I'll be demoing it as well. If there are any poses that I cue that don't feel good for your body, that's totally fine. Feel free to skip anything that doesn't feel good and take as many breaks as you need. To get started today, we'll just find a comfortable seat. You can have your legs crossed, you can have your legs extended out in front of you. You can even come and lay on your back if that feels a little bit better. We're just gonna connect with our breath for a couple of moments here. So once you find your comfortable seat, go ahead and begin to lengthen your spine, pulling the crown of the head towards the ceiling, letting the chest be nice and open. And just begin to connect with your breath. You can keep your hands on your knees, on your thighs, or maybe even on your lap. Relaxing the shoulders, letting them melt down. And then begin following your inhales through the nostrils, down the back of the throat, to the chest, to the belly, and then back out the way that it came. Each breath noticing the expansion in the chest and the belly, letting the belly pop out, letting it relax. And as you exhale, letting it all exit through your nostrils. We'll be here for just a couple more breaths. Keeping the mind and the focus on that journey through the nostrils and back out. If your mind wanders, just notice where it goes, acknowledging that it's traveling, and then bring it gently back to the breath. Couple more breaths here. Begin deepening your inhales. Exhale, letting it go. 2 more deep inhales. Exhale, let it go. 1 more deep inhale. Exhale, let it go. Let's begin to drop the chin down towards the chest, opening through the back of the neck. Shoulders are still heavy, melting down your back. And then slowly begin to bring your right ear towards your right shoulder, stretching through the left side of the neck. Back of the head towards back of spine, opening through the throat, through the chest. And then left ear towards left shoulder. Chin back down to chest. And then we'll go the opposite way. Bring your left ear towards your left shoulder, keeping that connection with the breath. Back of the head towards back of spine. Right ear to right shoulder. And then chin down to chest. Bring your head back to center, crown of the head pulls towards the ceiling. You can go ahead and open your eyes if they're not open already, and we're gonna make our way to our backs. We'll start by bringing your knees in towards the chest, giving yourself a gentle squeeze here, maybe grabbing a hold of your knees or the back of the thighs, letting your spine melt into the mat or the ground. And then just begin making circles with your knees here. Same direction, you can start by going clockwise, massaging your lower back here. Switch directions with your circles. Noticing any tenderness or any soreness throughout your back or lower back. Come back through center. And we're going to extend the feet towards the ceiling. So we're finding the legs up the imaginary wall. Your legs should be about 90 degrees. Your arms can come down to the ground. Your biceps zipped into your rib cage. We're just going to hold here for a couple of breaths, observing the blood as it travels down your feet, down your ankles, down your calves, down your thighs. Two more breaths here. One more breath. And then bring your knees back in towards your chest. Extend your legs again, heel toward the ceiling. Arms again come down to the ground. You can even wiggle your hands underneath your seat if you need a little bit more stability. We're going to start activating the core here. So we're going to slowly start lowering the right foot down to the ground, keeping that right leg extended. Slowly lowering down until they're hovering, your heels hovering a couple of inches above the ground. We're just going to hold here for 2 breaths, activating through the core. That's 1. That's 2. Slowly bring your right leg back up to meet the left. And then the left leg starts traveling down towards the ground, heel moving towards the ground, a couple of inches above the ground. Keeping that left leg nice and strong, core activated, 2 breaths. That's 1. That's 2. Slowly begin to bring the left back up to meet the right. And then bring your knees back in towards your chest. We're going to do that a little bit quicker, connecting 1 breath to a movement. So go ahead and extend your heels again towards the ceiling. Lower back presses into the ground. The whole spine presses into the ground. Begin activating through the core, and then slowly on the inhale, start lowering your right leg down to the ground. Exhale, bringing it back up. Inhale, left leg lowers down to the ground. Exhale, back up. Go ahead and do this a couple of times at your own pace. If this breath doesn't work for you, go ahead and assign an inhale to a movement and exhale to a movement that feels right for you. I'm going to do this for 5 more deep breaths. Three more breaths. 2 more breaths. One more breath. Both feet come back to meet. Up in the air, legs up the wall, and then knees come back in towards your chest. Let's go ahead and plant the soles of the feet on the ground, about mat width distance apart. And we're just going to windshield wiper the knees here. So drop your right knee in towards the center line. The left leg, the left knee can sort of flay outwards. And then come back through center, and then the left knee drapes in towards the middle, right knee drapes outside to the right. And just move through this at a pace that feels good for you. Really warming up and stretching through the hips and through the lower part of your core. All right, let's come back to center. Knees into chest, legs up the imaginary wall, hands come down to the sides. Biceps again zipped into the rib cage. And we're gonna lower the legs together, squeezing the legs together. We're gonna lower them about 30 degrees. So it's a big hover, pressing the lower back into the ground, the spine into the ground. Activating again through the core. We're gonna hold here for 5 breaths. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to lower another 30 degrees. So you may need to wiggle your hands underneath your seat here. Start slowly lowering, legs squeeze together. Holding here for 5 breaths. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then slowly lower so you're just a couple of inches above the ground. We're just going to hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the feet all the way down to the ground. Arms reach above head, stretching tall. And then knees come back in towards the chest. Taking a moment here just to pause. Letting the core rest, letting the back rest. All right, let's go ahead and extend the legs, heels toward the ceiling, legs up the imaginary wall. Hands again come down to the side of the body. And we're going to do that same hover with the legs together, but we're going to do a little bit more dynamically. So if you can only lower your legs a couple, like a couple of inches or a foot or so, that's totally fine. If this is your limit, that's fine. Honor your body. We're going to try to find a dynamic hover here. On the inhales, lowering the legs all the way down towards the ground. Exhale, lifting legs back up. Slowly on the inhale, lower down. Exhale, back up. We're going to do that 3 more times. Lower the legs down together. Exhale, back up. 2 more times. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, up. 2 more times. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, up. 1 more time. Inhale, lower down. Squeezing the thighs together. Exhale as you lift the legs back up, knees in towards the chest. Go ahead and grab a hold to the top of your knees, and we're going to push the knees away from each other in a circular motion. So making your knees make circles but opposite directions of each other. Really getting into the lower back here, getting into the hips, warming up the hips. Switch directions. Come Come back through center. Grab a hold of your shins if you can, or the tops of your knees. And we're gonna round the back, bring the forehead towards the knees. On the exhale, squeezing yourself into a tiny little ball. As you inhale, release your spine back down to the ground. Bring your hands behind your knee, into your knee pits or onto the backs of your thighs. And we're gonna slowly begin to rock back and forth, coming up to a boat pose. Take your time getting there. Balancing on your seat here. You can bring your feet to the ground if you need to find your balance and get resituated. Your hands can stay behind your knees here, or you can release your arms, your hands to the sides of your legs. Chest is nice and open. We're just holding here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. You can cross your legs on the ground. And just give yourself a break. We're going to do boat pose one more time, but give your core a little break here before we move into it. You can do some mini twists, some seated cat-cows. All right, we're going to do boat pose one more time. Bring your feet in front of you. Your toes can stay on the ground if this is as far as you'd like to go today. Feet can lift off the ground. We're going to squeeze the legs together or squeeze them like an imaginary block between the legs, whichever feels better for you. Your hands can come to the sides. Chest again is nice and open. Core is strong. Spine is nice and straight and long. Option here to straighten your legs for an extra challenge. Holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the feet down to the ground. And we're going to make our way to a tabletop. Take your time getting there. Once you get there, we're going to bring the shoulders over the wrists. The knees are underneath the hips. Hands are shoulder distance apart. And then just take a look back at your toes to make sure that they're in line with your knees. You may have a tendency to pigeon toe them in towards each other. We're not going to do that just yet. Knees should be in line with the toes. Tops of the feet should be flat on the ground. And then as you inhale, pull your chest forward, drop your belly, lift your gaze, finding your cow pose. Exhale as you round your spine, gaze comes down to the ground, pressing through the palms, finding your cat. Move through this motion a couple of times at your own pace. Inhale on the cat. Inhale on the cow. Exhale on the cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale on your cow. Exhale, cat. 1 more time. Inhale. Exhale. Now we're going to bring the toes together. Toes can touch. Knees can move a little bit further than hip distance, maybe even as wide as mat distance. We're going to press the hips back, bringing the seat towards the heels, finding a child's pose. You can walk your hands out a little bit more if you need. Forehead moves towards the ground, chest moves towards the ground. Hips are heavy, and we're sending the breath to the spine and to the ribs. Letting the inhales expand and create lots of space throughout the ribs and back. And then exhale, settling a little bit more into the shape. Couple more breaths. Take a deep inhale, filling your lungs, your ribs, your belly all the way with air. Exhale, let it go, chest sinks towards the ground. One more time, deep, deep, deep inhale. Exhale, let it go. We're gonna slither forward to a tabletop, walking your hands again underneath your shoulders. Knees move back underneath your hips, toes in line with your knees again, not touching. And then we're gonna tuck the toes, lift the knees, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Feet can be hip distance apart. Let the head hang heavy. You can even move it back and forth, shaking it yes and no, or even making little circles with your neck. You can have a bend in your knees here if you need. Really creating some length in the spine here. Bend your knees if your hamstrings are tight or sore. You can even pedal out your feet here if that feels okay. Warming up the back of the legs. All right, we're gonna slither forward to a high plank. Shoulders move over wrists. We're keeping the spine nice and long here. We're trying to activate the core to avoid dipping our belly or hips. So keep that core nice and active. We're just holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On your exhale, press back to downward facing dog. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slither forward back to your high plank. Strong core, strong spine, pressing very firmly through the palms and shooting energy out of your heels. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push back to down dog. Drop to your knees. Untuck your toes, tops of the feet come to the ground, pressing back to child's pose. Hips move towards the heels. I'm just gonna hold here for a couple of breaths. Checking in with your arms, checking in with your spine, checking in with your breath. All right, let's slither forward again to the tabletop. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Feet again, hip distance apart. Slither forward to your high plank. We're gonna hold this time for a count of 10. If you need to drop to your knees, that's totally fine. Holding here, pressing through the palms. Holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale to your down dog. Good work. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and drop to the knees. Untuck the toes. You may need to walk your hands out a little bit, but we're going to move all the way down to the belly. So slowly lower yourself down to the belly. Tops of the feet on the mat, ankles rotated in towards each other, thighs rotated in towards each other. Hands move underneath the shoulders. On the inhale, we're going to press through the palms. Elbows zipped into ribcage, lifting the chest off the ground, pressing into the lower belly and the pelvis. and the tops of the feet. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, come all the way down. Hands can move in front of you, making a pillow. You can bring your forehead to your hands. Maybe give yourself a little bit of a forehead massage here. You can shake your hips from side to side, releasing the lower back. When you are ready, we're going to bring the hands again underneath the shoulders. This time we're just going to come up to the fingertips. We're not going to put a lot of pressure on the hands. If you need to still put the hands on the ground and press through to find your baby cobra, that's perfectly fine. If you'd like a little bit of an added challenge, you can come to your fingertips. Elbows still zipped into the rib cage. On your inhale, gently pressing into the mat. Lift your chest, pressing into the belly and the pelvis, trying to stay connected with your breath here. It'll be a little bit difficult to breathe when you're on your belly. We're holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down. Hands can make a pillow again. Shake your hips from side to side. Do one more variation of this. So bring your hands again underneath your shoulders. This time as you inhale, you have the option to do the hands on the ground, the fingertips on the ground, or you can lift your hands off the ground, hovering them just a couple of centimeters or inches above the ground. Elbows still zipped into your rib cage, and as you inhale, lift your chest, pressing into the lower belly, into the pelvis, and the tops of the feet. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release all the way down, hands a pillow, shaking the hips. All right. Last little bit of work on our belly here. We're going to bring the hands towards the sides, palms facing up. Arms are right by your sides here. And we're going to start by lifting the tops of the feet off the mat and then trying to lift the shins and then maybe the thighs off the mat. We're going to try to zip those legs together like you're squeezing something between them, and just see how high you can get your thighs off the ground. Maybe this is enough for you. Option to lift your chest off the ground as well. Hands off the ground, really pressing into the lower belly here. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Hand comes down to the ground. We're going to push back to a child's pose, pushing first through tabletop and then back to child's pose. Hips move towards your heels. Two more breaths here. As we begin to flow and move through a sequence, you always have the option to come back here to a child's pose. If things ever become too much or you need to catch your breath, we may sweat a little during this, so option is always here to come back to child's pose. All right, on the inhale, slither forward to your high plank. Your tabletop. Then tuck your toes. High plank, and then downward facing dog. Slowly begin to walk your feet towards the top of your mat, towards your hands, eventually finding your forward fold. Feet are hip distance apart. Inhale, hands come to shins, flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Let's go ahead and grab opposite elbows here. You can have a bend in your knees if you need. We're still pretty cold in our legs. So go ahead and sway from side to side, finding your ragdoll. Seeing if you can create some more length in your spine as you move and sway. Okay, release your elbows, and on the inhale, we're gonna sweep all the way up. Hands sweep towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands come down to the sides. We're gonna run through Sun Salutation A. Feet are hip distance apart. Hands move down towards the sides. On your inhale, sweep arms up. And then as you exhale, keeping the hands where they are, biceps towards your ears, we're gonna slowly start to find our forward fold, keeping the core nice and strong. As you exhale all the way down, hands come down to the ground. Inhale, hands move to shins, flat back. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to your high plank. We'll go ahead and drop to the knees. Shift your weight forward, shoulders beyond your wrists, and we're keeping the wrists into the, we're keeping the elbows in towards the rib cage. Bend your elbows, finding your half chaturanga. Untuck the toes, press the tops of the feet into the mat, press through the arms, finding your upward facing dog. Exhale as you down dog. Couple of breaths here. You always have the option to drop to your knees for a chaturanga. You can always skip chaturanga altogether. Or you can move down to your belly and move through a baby cobra instead. Two more breaths here. Deep inhale. Exhale, let it go. Deep inhale. Exhale, let it go. Slowly begin to walk your feet again towards the top of the mat, towards your hands, finding your forward fold. Inhale, moving through flat back. This time we're going to take our hands off of the shins and see if you can hold here in the flat back without the support of your hands on your shins. It's going to take a little bit of core activation and strength here. We're just going to hold here for 2 breaths. Deep inhale. Exhale, hold. Inhale. Exhale, hold. Take another deep inhale. Exhale, fold all the way forward. This time grabbing a hold of your big toes with your peace fingers. And then pull the crown of your head down towards the ground. You can still have that bend in your knees if you need. Head is heavy. Upper body is heavy. Toes press into the fingers as the fingers pull into the toes. One more breath. Release the toes, and as you inhale, sweep arms up, coming to stand tall. Exhale, hands come down to the sides. We're going to move through that forward fold that we did at the beginning of that sun salutation again, just with some more information. So as we sweep the arms up, holding those biceps towards the ears, kind of like you're holding an imaginary beach ball between your hands here. If you can fold forward, keeping your back nice and straight. It takes a lot of core strength here, and so if this doesn't feel good for you, you can always bring your hands towards your heart center. Adding this extra leverage at the top of your body is going to create a little bit more of a challenge. So hold here at the halfway point, deep inhale, and then as you exhale, fold forward. Inhale to your flat back, maybe hands come to shins, maybe they hover. And then as you exhale, plant your hands and step back to your high plank. Option to drop to your knees for chaturanga or lift, keep your knees lifted, shifting your weight forward, bending your elbows any amount. Super strong core and spine here. And as you inhale, up dog, untucking the feet, tops of the feet come to the mat. Exhale, down dog. We're going to lift the right leg high to the sky. And then as you exhale, we're going to slither forward to a 3-legged plank. So Shifting your weight forward, shoulders move above wrists, keeping that right leg lifted. Then as you exhale, push back to three-legged dog. Right foot comes back down to the ground, taking a moment here in the down dog. Lift your left leg up. And then when you're ready, on the inhale, slither forward to your high plank, three-legged high plank, shoulders above wrists. Exhale, down dog. Left foot comes down to the ground. Inhale, lift your right leg high. Exhale, step it through your hands. You can wiggle it forward if you need. Keeping that back heel lifted. Sweep arms up, rising into your high lunge. Take a look at your front knee. We want it to be on top of the ankle. You may have a tendency to move your knee right or left. If that's the case, just try to activate your quads. Bring your knee, stack it on top of your ankle. And then we're going to keep our arms swept up high. Holding again that imaginary ball between the hands. Begin to activate your core, keeping your spine nice and neutral here. Begin to fold over your front leg. Sort of like you're projecting forward, leaning forward, keeping those arms nice and strong, the back nice and strong. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to your regular high lunge, arms sweep up, hands can come down to the side. We're going to clasp the hands behind. Open through the chest. Deep inhale to find some space here in the chest. Exhale, fold forward. Bring your belly a little bit closer to your thighs. Your right thigh in your high lunge. Come back to your high lunge, release the hands, sweep arms up. Deep inhale. Exhale, fold forward, plant your hands, step back to your high plank. Option for a chaturanga flow, or you can skip it and go straight to downward facing dog. Inhale as you shift your weight forward for chaturanga, bend your elbows, exhale. Inhale, up dog, untucking the toes, exhale, down dog. Hold here for a couple of breaths, just checking in with your breath. Take as deep, as slow, as fast of breaths as your body needs. Inhale, lift your left leg high to the sky. Exhale, step it through your hands. Again, wiggling it forward if you need. We're going to try to bring that left knee on top of the left ankle, keeping them in line with each other, keeping the right heel lifted. When you feel like you've found your stability here, begin to sweep arms up, finding your high lunge. Again, holding that beach ball between your hands. Checking in with your front knee to make sure it's not moving right or left. Keeping a really tight hold of that imaginary beach ball, keeping your spine strong and neutral. Begin folding forward, bringing your chest forward. Your belly may come a little bit close to your thighs. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back up to your high lunge. Clasp hands behind you. We're almost done here. Great job. Inhale as you open your chest. Exhale, fold forward. Chest, belly moves a little bit closer to the ground. Gaze is forward, crown of the head is pulling away from the tailbone. Come back to your high lunge. Release your hands. Inhale, sweep arms up. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to your high plank. Option for a chaturanga or drop to your knees here. Shifting the weight forward, exhale as you bend your elbows. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Let's go ahead and drop to the knees. Knees are mat distance apart, toes can touch. Pressing your seat back to your heels, finding child's pose again. Good work. Taking deep breaths here. Deep, deep breaths, rejuvenating, replenishing, nourishing the lungs and the heart. Take one more deep inhale, filling the chest, the belly, all the way with air, as much air as you possibly can. Exhale, letting it all go, squeezing it all out. And as you inhale, slither forward again to your high plank. Your tabletop then, high plank. Downward facing dog. Now we're going to begin to walk the hands back towards the body, so switching it up this time. Slowly, hand by hand, bringing your weight eventually to the heels. Inhale, find your flat back. Again, you can hold up, you can press into your shins here, or you can let them hover. Exhale, fold forward. This time we're going to grab the calves as we fold forward. So we're going to use that pull to try to bring our chest a little bit closer to our knees or to our shins. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, bring your forehead towards your knees. 2 more breaths, deep inhale. Exhale. 1 more breath, deep inhale. Exhale. As you inhale, sweep arms up, coming to stand tall, fingertips to ceiling. Exhale, hands come down to the sides. All right. 1 more salutation sequence. So we're going to stay here at the back of the mat. Inhale, sweep arms up. And we're going to begin to bend the knees, squeezing an imaginary block between the legs. Sinking the hips back. The weight moved more toward the heels. You may even be able to lift your toes off the ground a little bit. Keeping that spine nice and strong. The core is activated here to avoid going into sort of like a cow spine, popping the belly out. We want to have a nice and flat back here. Again, if it's too much for your hands here, your arms to hold this, you can always bring them to heart center. Makes it a little bit easier. Otherwise, keep holding that imaginary ball between your hands. 2 more breaths here. Exhale, sink a little bit lower if you can. 1 more breath, deep inhale. Exhale, sink a little bit lower. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale to your flat back, hands to shins or hovering. Exhale, plant your hands, bend your knees as you begin to walk your hands towards the top of the mat. We're going to find our high plank. Option to drop to your knees. For your chaturanga, slither forward. Exhale as you bend your elbows. Inhale, up dog. Untucking the toes. Exhale, down dog. I want you to separate your feet a little bit more than hip distance apart here. We're going to lift the right leg high to the sky and we're going to step it in between the hands. Maybe a little bit closer to your right hand. So we have a railroad track here. We're going to take a look back at that left foot. And we're going to pivot the heel down at a 45, so that the foot is at a 45-degree angle. We're going to move into our warrior 1. So when you are ready, really firmly planting through that front foot, activating through the calf and through the quad. We're going to sweep arms up. Warrior 1. Couple of breaths here. Hips are probably rotated towards the left corner of your mat, or maybe even shift a little bit more towards the front of the mat. Both options are great. Take one more deep inhale here. Exhale as you peel open to your warrior two. So we're gonna turn the torso towards the side of the mat. We're gonna pivot the back foot to be parallel to the back of the mat. Hands spread open like a T, keeping that front leg bent. Fingertips pull away from each other. Let's go ahead and straighten that front leg. Bring the left hand down to the left thigh. Sweep the right hand up and over, bicep towards your ear, gaze towards the ceiling. We're moving into reversed triangle. Option here to release your back hand, to try to have your core support you through the shape rather than relying on the hand. We're gonna move back into a warrior two. So on your exhale, bend your front leg. Hands again become a T, hips and torso are square to the side of the mat. And then we're gonna move into an extended triangle. So we're gonna bring the right elbow down to the right thigh. Left arm sweeps up. Bicep again towards your left ear. And I wanna give you the option here to activate your core a little bit more, to release your right elbow, slide your right hand, your right arm down your right inner right leg. And just allow your core to support you in this shape. I'm gonna hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Teeter back up to your warrior two. Catch your breath for a moment. And then we're gonna move back into that extended shape. So right hand moves towards the ground, inside the right leg. No contact of the elbow on the knee. Left hand and arm sweep up. Gaze is towards the ceiling, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Teeter back up to your warrior two. We're gonna shift to a high lunge, lifting that back heel, rotating the hips forward, arms sweep up. Then as you exhale, plant your hands, step back to your high plank. Option for a chaturanga. Exhale on the chaturanga, inhale up dog, exhale down dog. Couple of breaths here. All right, left leg lifts high to the sky. Step it to the inside, step it to towards the left hand. In between both hands, making sure that there's a wide enough track here between your 2 feet. We're gonna pivot the right foot down at the 45-degree angle. So your heels may be in line with each other and they may be a little bit further apart. Both options are fine. When you are ready, really activate through that core, through the calf and the thigh, and sweep arms up, finding your warrior one. Couple of breaths here, holding that imaginary ball between your hands. Hips are either square to the top of the mat, or maybe more so towards the right corner of the mat. All right, on your next exhale, we're gonna peel open to warrior two. Back foot is now parallel to the back of the mat, hips, torso square to the side of the mat. Fingertips are pulling away from each other and gaze is forward towards your left fingertips. A couple more breaths. Maybe bending a little bit deeper in that front leg. Really pulling those fingertips away from each other and letting the shoulders and chest be open. Begin straightening that front leg. Right hand drops towards the right thigh. Left hand flips and sweeps up, finding a reverse triangle. Option here to release your right hand and let your core support you. Specifically, the muscles between your left ribs and your thigh and your hip. All right, we're going to move back to warrior two, bending that front leg. We're going to drop that left elbow towards the left knee. Right arm sweeps up, stretching through that right side body. Option here to release your left elbow, sliding your left hand down your inner left leg and letting your core support you and do the work. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Teeter back up to your warrior two. Good work. One last time. We're going to slowly lower the left hand down towards the ground. No contact. Left elbow not touching the left knee. Right arm sweeps up. Stretching through the right side body, letting the core do the work. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to your warrior two. Pivot that back heel up, hips shift forward, finding your high lunge. And then as you exhale, plant your hands, step back to your high plank. Option for one last chaturanga, shifting the shoulders forward, bending the elbows. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Go ahead and walk your feet towards the top of the mat. Inhale as hands come to shins or hover, flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Grab opposite elbows here and let's just hang for a couple of moments. Catching the breath, deep inhales, letting it expand the ribs, letting it expand the spine. Exhale, let it go. All right, let's release the elbows, and as you inhale, sweep arms up, coming to stand tall. Exhale, hands come down to the sides. All right, our last standing pose for the day. We're gonna go ahead and find a standing straddle. So step your left foot back. Feet should be separated by about a couple of feet. Feet should also be parallel to each other. We wanna activate through the arches to try to avoid spilling the weight onto the outside of the foot. If we spill it out to the outside of the foot, it's gonna create some strain on the outside of the leg. So press through the big toe, activate through the arches. We're gonna bring the hands to the hips. Take a deep inhale, find that length in your spine, activate your core. Tightening it up, squeezing it in, belly button in towards the spine, and as you exhale, fold forward, finding your flat back here. We're gonna try to keep this shape, releasing the hands from the hips. Arms can become a T, kind of like you're an airplane, pulling away, fingertips are pulling away from each other. And as always, you can have a bend in your knees here if you need. Option for an added challenge is to bring your arms in front of you like you're holding that imaginary beach ball again. Biceps are in towards the ears. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. All the way down to the ground, hands come down to the ground. I'm sorry about that noise, there's a leaf blower outside. We're gonna hang here for a couple of breaths. Go ahead and grab opposite elbows, letting your torso really be heavy. With each inhale, finding new length, new space. With each exhale, seeing if you can let your torso be a little bit heavier. Couple more breaths. All right, release your elbows. And we're gonna sweep arms up as we come to stand tall. And then exhale, hands come down to the side. We're gonna step towards the top of the mat. Woo. And then we're gonna make our way all the way to our seat. Legs are extended in front of you. Toes pointed towards the ceiling. You may want to remove some flesh underneath your sits bones and get a little bit better connection to the ground. It'll tilt your pelvis so that when you sweep arms up, you can fold forward a little bit more comfortably. You can bend your knees here if you need, but we're going to grab a hold of your shins, your ankles, or maybe even your toes. Gaze forward as you inhale. Exhale, fold forward. We're going to hold here for 5 breaths. One more breath here. Go ahead and walk your hands back up to a seat, to a straight spine. And we're going to bring the feet in towards each other, finding a butterfly shape. Go ahead and just flap your butterfly wings for a couple of moments here, loosening up the hips, releasing any tension. And then find stillness. Soles of the feet are nice and pressed into each other. Begin to fold forward, hinging at your hips. Finding your edge here. Once you can't hinge anymore, allow your spine to round. Added challenge here is to weave your hands underneath your calves. It'll create a little bit more of a stretch on the lower back here. You can use that pull, pushing your forearms into your legs to try to deepen it. Try to bring your chest or your forehead towards your feet. Go ahead and release, unwind yourself. Then we're going to bring the knees in towards each other. We're going to do one last boat pose. So bring your toes to the ground. You can lift them off the ground if you need. Your hands can be behind your thighs. Lifting your feet off the ground if it feels okay. Squeezing the legs together. Hands can release towards the side of the legs, to the outside. Chest nice and open. Option to straighten your legs if it feels okay. Holding here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to bring the knees into the chest, keeping the feet lifted off the ground. And then we're going to bring the legs so that there's a 90-degree bend in the knees. Hands come out to the sides again, and we're going to slowly move all the way down to our backs. So slowly as you can go, begin to straighten your legs. And then slowly bring your feet down to the ground, your legs down to the ground, your spine, and then your head. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a little bit of a squeeze here, releasing the lower back. Then we're going to plant the feet on the ground. Soles of the feet are nice and flat on the ground. We're going to move into a bridge pose here. So the feet should be a couple of inches away from your arms, from your fingers when your arms are fully extended down the side of your body. Feet should be about hip distance apart. On your inhale, lift your hips. Roll onto your shoulders. Clasp your hands underneath. Press your forearms towards the mat, still pressing really firmly into the feet, the soles of the feet. And keeping the legs nice and activated towards each other. Holding here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release your hips down to the ground, knees in towards the chest. Make gentle circles here. Switch directions with your circles. All right. We're going to drape. We're going to keep the knees together. We're going to move into a supine twist. And so if you know that there's a twist that your body really likes, feel free to move into that shape. Otherwise, we're going to keep the knees bent in together, and we're going to drape them over to the left side of the body. You may want to squeeze like a book or a block between your legs to help keep your knees stacked on top of each other. And then arms are going to become a T. We want to feel the twist here through the thoracic spine and through the ribs, as opposed to the lower back. So if you find that your lower back is what is feeling the most of it, try to adjust. Couple more breaths here. Deep inhales, filling the ribs with air. Exhales, finding a deeper twist. Come back through center. Allow the spine to reset. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to drape both knees to the right side of the body. Keeping your arms in a T shape. And again, we want to feel that twist through the thoracic, through the ribs. Arms are a T, gaze can be towards your left fingertips. And inhales, creating space in your ribs. Exhale, surrendering more to the twist. Couple more breaths. Come back through center. I invite you to take any shapes here that your body feels it needs before moving into a shape of Shavasana. You can make more circles with your knees here. You can find happy baby. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and find a shape of Shavasana that works for you. As a reminder, your Shavasana can look like many things. You may find that child's pose is most comfortable for you. You can have your knees bent, knocking in towards each other. You can have your legs extended long. Or you can even take a butterfly shape. Basically finding whatever pose feels best for you today. It may not be the same pose that felt good yesterday. I invite you to stay here in that Shavasana for a couple of minutes. I'm going to go ahead and end the video now because of the leaf blowers outside. I don't think that would be conducive for your Shavasana. So stay in your Shavasana for as long as you'd like, rejuvenating, replenishing, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day.